Hey everyone, welcome back to a Shot of Business Central and a Beer podcast. Today's episode is a group chat that Ken and Michael did with Bridget Courneya and Aaron Back from Dynamics Communities, talking everything from the benefits of the user group for Business Central users to the return of the in-person community user group summit. We hope you enjoy.
Just kind of jump right into things right now. Ken and I are privileged to be joined by Bridget Courneya, I hope I'm saying that right, and Aaron Beck from Dynamic Communities. So hello and welcome, everyone. How is everybody?
Yes. Whoop, whoop. We're
Hello.
doing
That's
You're
right.
good. And Michael, you were close. About as like I butchered your last name last time we chatted too. So it's payback.
How do you say
Courtney,
it?
actually. And my husband likes to remind me it's like you're Canadian and you're saying corny, eh?
There you go.
Way to remember
Little
it.
accent on it.
Yeah. Eh?
It's great. That's great. So we are lucky enough that the people from DAC Communities chose which beer we're going to be drinking today. And turns
Yeah.
out to be. You want to let them know, Ken?
Well, yeah, it's an interesting choice. We're drinking Angry Orchard hard cider, the
Yeah.
crisp apple variety. And I'm excited because this is our 26th episode,
26th, yeah.
and we have yet to drink a hard cider.
It's true. We have
Yeah.
not
So
seen-
I'm a hard cider virgin. So
Oh,
I'm
hey.
looking forward to this. Even outside of the podcast, I mean, years ago, I've had cider at like an Irish bar,
Okay.
at places, which I'm guessing this is going to be pretty similar. But I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Wow.
Yeah. Crack her open. I'm curious what you
Yeah.
think there, Ken.
Cracking
Yeah,
it
well,
up
let's
right now.
crack them open, huh? And
Yeah,
Bridget,
some of the-
you
I
helped
was
pick
gonna
this.
say,
Why
go ahead,
why'd
I'm
you
sorry.
Bridget, why you helped pick this? Give us your thoughts. Why'd you pick this?
Well, so I'm gluten free, and so I have to be kind of selective with some of my options. So I don't do a lot of beer, and I felt really bad because you guys are your whole thing's about beer, and I'm like saying, I don't want beer this time, guys. Can we do something else? But yeah, wine and cider. It's kind of my go-tos.
Nice.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
it's good. It tastes like apple cider.
Yeah,
It does. Yeah.
Shocking.
Reminds me
Yeah.
of the pumpkin patch.
So it's suddenly fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
it refers to it on the can. It says naturally gluten free.
Yes,
They go
it's
five.
part of their branding. It's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched a little show about them a while back. They have, I think their orchard is like over 100 years old, and their caretaker takes care of all the trees, the apple trees, and everything there. So I think they're from New York.
Really?
Based, yeah, surprisingly.
All right.
Probably in more of the obviously not near the uh, big cities, if you will, but where they're based. But
Upstate.
Middle Central
yeah,
Park.
I've always wanted to go up and visit and do a tour up there and tastings. Yeah, I think that's where they're based out of, is New York. But yeah, I've always been a big fan of theirs. I've tried a few other ciders as well, but I always come back to this one. So
Nice. I see it's 5% alcohol.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more than a regular beer, right?
Yeah, I think like most beers, like probably
4.2.
4 to 5%. So right around pretty much a normal, like just like a normal beer.
Yeah. And I got
So-
another one handy. I'm a Sam Adams fan too, but this one they got 5% alcohol in their original lager, so it's about right.
I'll tell you what, these can go down pretty fast though.
Yeah,
You
it's,
know what I mean?
it's tasty. that's for
Yeah,
sure.
it would.
It's
one
when
of those,
it's sweet like that, it's kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's one of those beers you're not gonna feel it until you stand up, right?
Yeah,
So you get a couple in you.
yeah, that's the beauty. It's not too sweet. Got a good balance of sweet and tart. That's what I like. They have one that's not as sweet. Another variety of their apple. It's not as sweet. It's if you like the more bitter, tart taste. So if you want
Yeah.
to check that out. So yep.
yeah, I don't know if it's obvious, but Aaron's one of his go-tos is the Angry Orchard. He knows
Yeah.
a lot about the varieties. So hats off to you, my friend.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
talking about
that.
the farm and everything up in New York.
Yeah,
so
he even knows where the
he did
farm
research.
are.
Yeah.
No, I like it. I mean, I could even see if they had a sour version of this, I might be interested too. I don't know if they do, but
Yeah.
sour version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
They
I said,
have one that's a rosé. So for a wine lover who also does this, I mean, it's a nice like in between, best of both worlds, and that's pretty sweet too. I mean, that's what I found with pretty much all of these. But
Nice. All right. Well, so what we'll do at the end of the segment, I guess we'll all kind of give our review. For Ken and I think we go with if it's below 50, that means we can't drink more than one, right?
Yeah.
If it's above 50, then we review it.
Yeah. 100. Yeah. 100 is the best.
Yeah.
Below 50, you're not going to have another one.
Yeah.
oh no, the truth will come out at the end, is what you're saying.
We've had
how many of
couple
those have you had before that made it
Yeah,
below
we've had a
50?
couple.
Oh, really?
What's funny about the beer profiles that when it warms up, sometimes you get a completely different flavor profile. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you might like it a lot in the beginning when it's cold because it kind of masks whatever the flavor is. When it warms up, then you really know what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
Angry Orchard site actually says it's ideally served at 40 degrees. If you serve it much colder, you're going to lose out on some of the subtleties of the flavor if it's colder.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. The opposite of that, I was in Amsterdam one time and was at a pub there, and they had Heineken on tap, but it was encased in ice. Up
Really?
the tap coming up. So as you've seen, the tap coming up is totally encased in ice. I don't know how they managed to keep it encased in ice, but when it was excellent though, straight off the tap, but super cold.
Yeah.
It was really, really good.
Encased ice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
didn't
don't know
see
how
that.
they did it, but literally you could see the ice like formed around where it was coming up
Yeah.
to the spout. Yeah. And they would have one separate that was more of their lesser cold of the typical,
Was it at one of those ice bars?
No, it wasn't an ice bar. Yeah.
A
That'd be
regular old
interesting.
bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. So, well, all right, let's kind of jump into it then. So, like I said, we're here with Aaron and Bridget from Dynamic Communities. So let's start with Bridget. Can you tell us maybe a little bit about yourself? Maybe your background and what you do at Dynamic Communities.
Sure.
All right.
So my background is, I mean, I self-define it as unique. I think a lot of folks have probably uniquer backgrounds than I do, but I guess I think of it as unique because I have a psychology and social work undergrad. So I actually didn't come from the tech space as most folks that I've become associated with from being here for over 2 years now have. So my focus tends to be about the people and how are we taking care of them and what are the systems to support that, and really focused on communicating that to the best of our ability. So that's kind of led me to my current role now, which is the online editor for the Decision Acceleration Cloud, so mydacfeed.com. So I help to bring the messages to the forefront from the community. So that's a number of different projects. We have our DAC news desk, which is how I first got to meet Michael and Ken, having them as guests, talking about solution systems. But then I also help with a lot of other stuff too. We have our binge days, which is short form interviews taking place over a few hours, and we have a lot more coming out, and they're all around deep dives on certain topics. So we just did RPA Expo, which was a 3-hour event all on RPA, and we talked with a number of experts. So I help with all things from the interviews that take place with those folks, and I sit back and watch the experts do their awesome things, to actually behind the scenes doing the edits myself. So getting to know Adobe Pro and all the fun tools. So
That's great.
yeah, so that's in a nutshell what my role is and kind of what led me here.
We're definitely privileged. I mean, we've got Bridget who does the DAC news guest. You think you called it right? Is that what it was?
News
Back
desk.
news desk. Yeah, yeah.
News desk, yeah.
Aaron who does the Back at It podcast. So everybody's just completely skilled with these. So I feel
Yeah, it's fun. I feel like we're with our people here.
Yeah, exactly.
all right, Aaron, you're up. Or I'm sorry.
All right.
Yeah, you're up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm up now. Yeah. All right. Well, you haven't had too many of those there already, have you?
Oh,
Still in the first one.
Very good.
No,
Go
so
up,
yeah.
over from here.
Yeah. So yeah, my background is quite varied and unique as well. It's I've been involved in this community from many different aspects for over a decade, but I've been in the tech space for over 20 years in some aspect. So whether through starting off early in the sort of the customer service realm, I moved to marketing, then eventually up into the IT space, and then from there, that's where I started getting involved in the community and more heads down in the tech world, if you will. And then became a Microsoft MVP back in 2019 and biz app space, and then I did work for a partner for quite a while for Microsoft, so I've got a user experience and partner experience as well. And then flipped over to more of the community focus with dynamic communities, and Bridget and I collaborated on a lot of great content, whether it be like interviews, great folks in the community, or working with folks in the community around the summit event coming up in October. So we've been having great forum discussions all this week for feedback, and then even prior been working with our planning committees. So totally stoked about that. And then I also write a Back at It take, which is like my written form on different takes and sometimes a little controversial. Pull out things. I play a devil's advocate sometimes on something, but so I do write-ups as well. And then just like Bridget, I also do the video editing and post-production.
A little bit of everything, right, Aaron?
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on, and then we collaborate with an awesome team here on our side with really helps make everything really happen. So we really enjoy working with collaborating with the great team we have here at Dynamic Communities.
Yeah, so we've been members of the dynamic communities for, I don't know, what, 7 or 8 years or probably.
Yeah, 7 years.
Attended probably most of the conferences. Speak, we'll lead sessions and speak. We've been a sponsor of the summit, and we're huge fans of the summit. We've really missed the in-person conferences that we've had, and I just get a ton of value. I think for users, especially, the session content there at the conferences and just even now virtual sessions, it's really, I mean, hands-on, and it, I think people walk away a lot of times from these sessions and they can immediately put things to use,
Well, that's what's great about it. A lot of them are just practical information from the perspective, like you said, from people in the community that are in certain roles that mirror those that are attending their sessions or certain industries that they're in. So that really showcases that, hey, I've been there, done that, or I can assist you, or I'm going through it now. So that's what's great about those sessions, and even outside those sessions, the networking that happens where you learn from others, even through networking down in the expo hall. Or one cool thing that we're doing that's different this year is we're having those. You've probably seen those in the past, those UG hubs, like the medic hubs we've had in the past. Well, we're having those in 2 locations this year. One up on the floor where the sessions are, and one down on the expo hall. It's 2 locations. So represent those different communities, those different applications. So more networking opportunities, more ways to get help, and through the medic approach, staffed by volunteers from the community. And then we're also going to have some content, quick bite type content centered around those hubs too. So not only for session rooms, but also around these hubs. So
very nice. So give us a little bit of a insider's look at the upcoming user group session. Where's it going to be? Will there be like social distance protocol in place, or is that kind of gone out the window now with the vaccination So anything you can kind of tell us,
Yeah.
we're willing to
Is that
hear.
wishful thinking?
It's wishful
Well,
thinking.
yeah.
It's in October, so.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
no. Yeah, so I can start and Aaron add color commentary. We've been
yeah.
talking about this nonstop and it's fun stuff.
Yeah.
So the conference is taking place in October, October 12th through the 14th. That's right, Aaron? I feel like I'm
Yes.
talking out both sides of my mouth. I'm like,
Yep.
am I right? Am I right? Okay, cool,
12,
cool, cool, cool.
14, yeah.
Yeah, so October 12th through the 14th, and the George R. Convention Center down in Houston, Texas. And there are definitely new considerations we have to think about this year in light of COVID. And this is not only our initiative from Dynamic Communities perspective, but also the venue itself. So they have temperature checks and spacing, things that they're going to consider there as well. So therefore, our capacity is about cut in half this year, so around 45,000 or 4,500. Sorry,
I was like, wow, I missed
That
the
would be
last couple
awesome.
there.
you guys are listening to stuff. 4,500 is around the number. And we'll see what, how, and if that might change, but that's around the number we're playing with right now. And we're thinking about how the experience is for the attendee, but also the speaker throughout the conference too. So making sure there's space between seats and between the front row to the speaker. How many booths are on the expo floor and how much space in between each of those booths. So there's a lot more fun things to think about and puzzle pieces to consider this year than before. But like Aaron mentioned with the medic desks and other areas, we hope it does feel a bit like you're coming home a little. It's a homecoming, it's a reunion. You haven't seen these people for over a year now, and I feel that energy is already becoming pretty palpable. And we're getting a lot of CFPs or call for proposals already. And that was just recently announced. Registration is filing in. That was just released about 2 weeks ago. So that I think people are getting excited again, and gosh, we are too. Aaron, what would you add on to that? Anything?
Yeah, on top of that, I mentioned the networking opportunities around those hubs, but there's a couple other places we're providing additional networking opportunities. So on that Tuesday evening, we have the welcome reception from 5 to 8 that we've had in the past down on the expo floor, but we're going to be having a special segment just for newbies and veterans to connect. So if you're new to the summit itself, or maybe new to the Microsoft applications, this is the first time you're using them, connect with veterans of the apps or veterans of Summit and meet up, and hopefully those veterans can connect you with somebody, or you'll meet somebody great that's using the same app or in the same industry or whatever. So we're hopefully what our plans are is try to open the doors a bit early for those folks to get sort of first dibs, if you will, to connect on network. And then I'm sorry, what was that?
And first dibs on the drinks too.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Can't forget that. And then also we have another cool event that I think, Bridget, you're coordinating, is the Women in Tech event that we're going to have on like late Wednesday afternoon. So it's going to be up on a pool deck. So that'll be cool. So a great experience for all the wonderful women in technology to represent all their experiences and backgrounds. So more to come on that. So stay tuned. We'll have the summit sites continually being updated with more and more information as time goes on. So, and another plug for a couple things.
Right.
So on that Tuesday as well, during the day, we're going to have some pre-con sessions that we're collaborating with Microsoft on for some full day in-depth. You may have heard these. They're in a day type sessions. So like app in a day, dashboard in a day. So they'll walk you through from end to end, full length sessions. We're collaborating with Microsoft on those. And then on Friday, we're looking at some post-con sessions that are more deep dive, technical type, 90 minutes roughly in length. So deep dive technical, hands-on or lab type sessions where you can walk in and get your hands on an application or walk through an experience from the user community presenting these.
So kind of bookend it from a Microsoft perspective in the front end, and then a user community presenting more technical things on the tail end. But morning, so that way folks can catch their afternoon flights to get home. And we'll have bag check, coat check available on that Friday. So if they've checked out of their hotel, on site at the conference center, check your bags, and then you can grab them on your way up to go catch your flight. So
I'm not sure the days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday type of thing. Start on Friday?
no, it starts on Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, with that extension of
morning.
post-con on Friday morning. Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Nice. So yeah, so we mostly deal with Dynamics NAV, which is now Dynamics.
Sorry about that.
Dynamics 365 Business Central,
Mhm.
right? So how will like in terms of the organization, like any details on that you can share? Like, is it if I'm a Business Central user, we just started using Business Central. I'm coming down to the conference. How is it organized? Are we all intermingled with other Dynamics apps? Can I go to other sessions? And how is it kind of organized from a conference standpoint?
Yeah, so I can start here, Aaron. Feel free to jump in too again.
Yeah.
So first of all, as in previous years, all the user groups still have their representation there, and we found there's so much value in that, right? Of from their perspective, what sessions are pertinent, what topics are pertinent, and having those led by the committees themselves. So there's a committee that represents every user group. So there is a NAV and BC angle, and those folks have already been taking a look at the sessions that have been coming in, giving their feedback. And so that way there will be a mixture of different levels of experience. So beginners, intermediate, and advanced. And all of those things will be filtered in the on-site app as well as the site as that's released. So those things are all kind of considered from they're the experts. We let them help guide us in that selection process. But then we also realize that we're in an interconnected world. This content isn't siloed anymore. People are starting to mix and match different products. And so therefore, if you're an attendee, you do get to have a make your own experience. So you can attend as many of those BC and NAV sessions as you'd like, or as other sessions in different product areas seem applicable or interesting to you, you can jump on over. So you're definitely not confined to one product the whole way through, especially if you don't find it useful to you and your business. So that's what I'd say on that. Aaron, anything else to add?
No, that's great insights. You laid it out really well, and yeah, something in the past, I know it felt like, at least to me, from the user perspective, when I was out in the community as a user attending Summit, not from this side, you felt a little bit, it was kind of like a psychological thing. You got your badge, you registered under a specific user group community when you registered, and then when you attended, the feeling was I'm sort of confined to that group and those sessions versus maybe I want to go explore other apps and sessions and things like that. So it's from a psychological front, that's what it felt. This time around, when you register, it's more open, and then you can kind of choose the groups you more affiliate with, if you will. And then some folks, like in my history and experience, I always had ERP and CRM background, so I always go for both. And then obviously when Power BI rolled around, I was with that as well. So and then obviously Power Platform. So yes, and we've already got submissions in too, by the way, for these crossover sessions. So they touch on not only Business Central, but the Power Platform, or how to integrate, BC with like CRM, for example, or things of that nature. So yeah, a lot of good crossover sessions have already come in from all different angles, to Bridget's point of beginner, intermediate, advanced perspectives.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right. So we know the sessions are really good. The entire user group summit is really good, and everybody misses it, being there in person or whatnot. But I'm kind of wondering, what do you see as the future of Dynamics communities? have you guys hit the spot where you want to be, where it's pretty much, educating everybody, sessions and whatnot? I know it's evolved a lot over the past, I guess, year and a half with COVID or whatnot. So what's the future of dynamic communities? Anybody can take it.
It's a great question. I wish I had a crystal ball. Sometimes I really think that'd come in handy. There's no denying, you guys, that it's been a year to remember, and a tough one. And dynamic communities was definitely impacted by the pandemic. And in that, we've really taken a hard look at what can we offer that's unique, and how can we help people, and what's the right thing to do. I mean, those are questions that have been coming up constantly in our team meetings, between each other. And it's a hard question to ask, and face. And the future of the dynamic communities is really trying to answer those questions, but also serve the community in a new, fresh way, I would say. Aaron, you probably maybe have something else to add there, but and some of that, we have to take a look at what have we been good at. Well, events is something we've been really good at. It's our history goes back 14 plus or so years of fostering connection between community members, of not only Microsoft, but technology in general. And that's what I think we hope to continue on doing. And if that's at events, great. But then we're also looking at other ways to foster that community. And some of that does come down to content, and allowing people to have their voice heard, and share those different points of view, and connect around that. So that, I think, is the central point. Now, how logistically, I think, will always evolve. But we are looking at, mydacfeed.com as being that central source of new fostered innovation. And then we also hear a lot about this new term called acceleration economy. That there's more and more options out there that people need to decide between. And how do you do that? How do you find people to trust and points of view that you trust? So acceleration economy is a term that you might be hearing more about, not just from some of our products, like in podcasts and events and virtual events, but also in-person events and publications too. So keep an eye out for that. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, and to add on to that, we had to evolve, obviously, as a business, because we got hit really hard with the pandemic, to be frank. But and we've been hosting this year several of these digital binge events to really showcase these broader context of themes and topics, so people can get information from all different angles. And then to the point about the acceleration economy, it also speaks to the pace and speed at which people are looking to get information, but also the pace and speed at which people are working today. And I mean, if you go back and think the evolution of like Netflix and the rise of Grubhub and DoorDash, and you want it now, but they also and when you want it at your own time, but you also have an expectation of quality behind that. It's not just the speed, but it's also the expectation that the quality is kind of a given. So the acceleration economy is really feeding. It's that overarching theme that you're going to hear that you can look at many different industries and see the pace at which things happen is really exploded out of last year. If you think about it, businesses had to pivot quickly. People had to pivot quickly. Try to understand
new tools too.
Exactly.
And that's, we're seeing such an emergence of AI and RPA. I mean, those are just the big easy ones to name out here, but also AP and AR automation in the finance area. And so like talking about those things, but also trying to understand what that can do for your business, and some of the underlying things that come with those new tools.
And then the evolution of people. So I want to highlight that, since we're primary theme around with talking with you guys is around Business Central and Nav. A lot of folks are in the financial role of some sort, and what we've seen is the evolution really of the CFO has evolved over time, where their seat at the table with critical business decisions has shifted over time to where it's not so much just transactional focused and numbers focused, but they're looking at the broader context of the business more strategically from technical investments, long-term ROI on those investments, and where they can best lever those applications. We mentioned AI and automation, and how can we best lever those tools and technologies in conjunction with stuff we already have or pull in something new. But their voice is changing and has evolved. So it speaks to the evolution of people and the roles that have traditionally been looked at one way and now has evolved into something else.
You know what I noticed a lot? Aaron and Bridget tend to both say a lot about people first. And it's pretty refreshing, right? So you guys are thinking about the actual people as opposed to the businesses that, they work for as a whole. You're trying to really connect with the people. So I like that. I mean, the message, my opinion.
Yeah, you're going to hear a phrase from us quite a bit too that is surfaced is this humans plus the technology. I mean, with the rise of, we mentioned RPA and that fear, that FUD effect, FUD. Pronounce that correctly there. Fear and certainty out to spell out the letters there that people have around, hey, automation and the rise of bots potentially taking my job. Well, if you really think about it, it's think of the bots as like an assistant to take over those mundane, routine tasks that sucked your time out of your day, to be honest, and allow you to focus on more important stuff. And so that human element is always still going to be there, Michael. To your point, we think that people are quite valuable in this whole construct of looking at technology, and then the whole business process. So layering in people at critical steps to evaluate things as part of your automation cycle, or reviewing and having governance over how the technology is framed within your organization. Yeah, humans are always going to have a place here.
It's good to hear.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we see it every day to kind of, putting all those things together of, people in acceleration. Over the past year and a half, people have had to adapt, right? And not just little minor adaptations, but big major landscape shifting type changes that in one way or another, everyone's had to kind of deal with throughout their lives. And then, from our perspective and with Dynamics and Business Central, the pace of technological advancement and improvement, and now, a major release coming out every 6 months. It's like, it's like a freight train going by, and you better grab on because there's some cool stuff, right? That's going on. And we're seeing a huge movement of people who, when a new release would come out of Dynamics NAV, it was like, okay, there's a cool thing here or there. But now, people are seeing some of the stuff that with Business Central Online and the integration with Teams and Outlook and using the app on your phone, no matter where you are, which is more important than ever.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence being embedded inside of the product.
Yeah.
It's really, there's a ton of momentum going around. So I'm hoping that we see, when I'll be down in Houston in October. I really hope I see a lot of people there, and I'll bet, I think you're exactly right. The level of excitement, right? Of people just being excited to be back and talking and interacting with people. I think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be noticeable.
I read a book recently. I actually painted my office this weekend, so it's a new shade of tan today. But I painted my office, and while doing so, I listened to a new audiobook called Future Proof. And there was, I highly recommend it. I'll send it to you guys following this, but it talks about how people are afraid. There is this fear that automation and tools and whatnot, robots are taking over the world. How to do that and how to allow yourself to be future proof. And the takeaway from the book is really about how be uniquely human, and people need to be social and to feel that they have social support. And one thing too that spoke to me about that book is, one thing that the technology is not as good at, but humans are, is being able to react to surprises and anomalies. If you're going down a lane and suddenly you get there's a detour sign put in front of you and you suddenly have to turn right, you can react and you can figure out what to do in that situation. But that's not always the case for some of the technology, and maybe we'll see that continue to evolve and grow. But that sociability, to your point there, Ken, that's something that's so special. And as much as we want to pretend that we can be like technology, we aren't. We will never be. And we can be just behind a remote screen all day, every day. And I think 2020 and the pandemic has taught us a lot about what we need in that environment.
I'd love to highlight something that we've actually got it out on the Summit site as kind of one of the reasons to attend Summit. But a lot of folks, it's a real thing, is a virtual burnout. A lot of people are experiencing, and we're using these virtual tools right now, quite frankly, but it is a necessary evil, maybe, I don't know. but at some point, there is that real virtual burnout. And to your point of the excitement of getting back together with people face to face for real is there. And one of the reasons we outline on the website is the taking the time to now close your computer and engage while you're there. Give your time to absorb the information while you're in sessions or networking with somebody, so you're not so digitally distracted. We actually, Dynamic Communities, a few of us got together in person a few weeks back to really just strategize, plan, have ideas about things. And kind of, you asked about the future of Dynamic Communities, and that was a lot of that discussion there. But the one thing we did was not one of us opened our laptop. Mm-hmm. We had a whiteboard, we either had, or a notepad, or we just sat back and got immersed into the discussion. And a lot of ideas came out of that. Yeah. So that's one thing we'd love to have folks to realize, is that come to Summit for the experience of being there and finally back together in person, but take the time to close those laptops, obviously when it's
you're maybe
feasible.
Not applying a code that you
exactly learned. Maybe not in those deep dive sessions.
Right. Yeah. That's the hard part, right? I mean, you want to take in and remember as much as you can. So, I mean, during sessions, you're taking a picture, or you're writing something down, or you're taking a note. If all the sessions are going to be recorded and available on demand to attendees, or no?
Yeah, so there will be a virtual type component. Probably at the time that this is hitting the airwaves and such, maybe we'll have a formal announcement ready to roll. But we are working on a virtual hybrid, what we're calling fusion experience, between those that can attend in person and those who can't, because we realize that some borders are still closed and you can't necessarily plan to travel, or maybe your work environment isn't open to that just yet. So I think there will be some recording components tied to that. And I can't say how many at this point in time, but it's definitely something on our minds. And it's something too that we think about a lot with the new mydacfeed.com, is having things available on demand. So all of our virtual events up until this point have been, or on demand accessible. Yep. Yeah. So hopefully that helps you there, Michael.
Yeah. And then something too I'd love to highlight is something new I failed to mention earlier. Some is that we're excited about, Bridget and I, is we've talked about our news desk features that we've had in the past, running through the mydacfeed.com with interviews with great people in the community and so forth, the companies, is we're going to have a physical community news desk on the expo floor.
Really?
So yeah, this will be a brand new element that we're adding in. We're loving to engage with the community, hear their stories, interview folks from the community, hear those digital transformation stories that they went through over this past 18 months roughly, and what challenges do they face? How did they pivot? From a people perspective and from a technical perspective. We want to hear those stories. And something we're kicking ideas around is maybe hopefully recording those and having those kind of wrapped up as kind of like a post-summit playlist, if you will.
Yeah.
Of hearing back, so folks that couldn't attend or missed out on listening in onto some of those to where they can grab that and really hear some stories that can resonate with them.
I think that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so if I'm, I could obviously, if I'm interested in learning more about my DAC feed, I think I can go to mydacfeed.com, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And any other, obviously, if I'm interested in learning more about Summit, what's the best way to get more information about the Summit in October?
SummitNA.com.
Summit
That's
NA.
it.
That's easy.
That's the official. Easy enough to remember. That's the quick address. Bookmark it. Like I said, we're updating information all the time, and we'll and then after the so hopefully by end of July, even before that, we're hoping to have some teasers, some session teasers out there for the agenda, and then later on we'll be locking some of that in later July as far as sort of the official session agendas, I should say, and some other things, like I said, those networking opportunities. I want to work those into the agenda so people can kind of bookmark it or flag it and get it on their calendars.
Right. You want to, Aaron, you want to plug your podcast real quick? I know Ken and I had the opportunity of being on it. We talked about Tech News Desk, but plug your podcast, my friend.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's called Back at It. Kind of play off my last name, but or some people think it's Back at IT. So either way,
yeah,
either way you want to look at it. But it's all short form podcast. A lot of times it's just me talking about various different topics. I'll have guests on every once in a while, but it's all around the innovations and the technologies and the industries that are making impacts to people. And I usually try to break it down to kind of what does it mean to you? What are some takeaways you can think about? I typically start sort of broad, kind of here's what's going on the market or the industries, and then kind of work my way and narrow that down to some applicable things to yourself to think about or consider, questions to ask yourself type of thing. So that way you're always ending with something to potentially think about. So yeah, Back at It. It's also available out on wherever you get podcasts. So Spotify, Apple, things like that. And got a podcast website, so you can go sign up and see where it's check it out. But we'll send that information over to you guys if you guys want to share it out.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes.
Pretty cool looking logo too.
Yeah, well, I guess it represents the whole beard, and headphones. So yeah, and but I don't know. The beard's got me some good connections of late. So out in the community with other bearded folks.
All right, Ken, any other questions before we jump into the last five?
No, who are you going to run through the ringer on your lightning round?
Both of them.
So. Oh man.
Oh,
right. Yeah. So before we let you go, five speed questions, yes or no answers. Everybody pretty much knows the rules, I guess. So we will let Bridget answer first.
Oh
okay.
Boy,
Aaron,
put me on the spot. All right,
you got a 50-50 chance of getting it right in the court of
getting it right
in the court of public opinion.
All right,
So,
rip off the Band-Aid, my friend. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. Number one, do you believe that by 2022 businesses will have recovered from the pandemic?
I probably have to say not yet completely. Full recovery? No. On the way there? Yes.
All right.
Aaron?
Myself, I'm in the same boat as Bridget. I think it's going to be dependent on the businesses and the industries they're in too. That plays a huge factor of the industries they're in as far as if they're going to be a recovery or not. Side note, we've seen a lot of great innovations come out of new lines of businesses developed in spite of the pandemic. So it's how quickly they pivoted and switched to how quickly they can recover.
Number 2, are there plans to add a live stream feature in the DAC community pages?
Not yet, but it's an intriguing idea.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, we'd love to see how that works. We've got some tools that we're kind of testing around with some different ideas, but
Yeah. We could be broadcasting this live right now.
We could.
good. Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Oops, sorry. Go ahead. Do you want to say something, Bridget?
No, I was just gonna say maybe us in the future.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Number 3, do you believe in ghosts?
I do, yes.
All right.
Aaron.
I maybe not the term ghosts, but I believe in spirits. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 4, will there be a Microsoft 365 DAC channel in the future? Or I guess DAC group.
There kind of already is my answer to that. So there's a way to tag and filter content by Microsoft D365. So if there's stuff that you already enjoy or want to tag your content with, it all appears in the same kind of channel that way.
Yeah, and it speaks to the personalization you can do in the DAC site. So you flag that as an interest area tag, and then the content is fed to you around those interest areas.
Number 5, last but not least, well, I guess we kind of talked about it, but will artificial intelligent robots take over the world?
It's a good question. I don't think so, only because I believe that AI is a man-made tool, and we've developed it to create certain to fill in certain gaps that we need support with. So I think because humans technically have they're writing their own book here, I feel like if they're worried about that, let's maybe figure something out together. Or, I don't know. Go ahead, Aaron.
Well, I was going to say if Arnold Schwarzenegger showed up at some point, we'd know that's going to happen in the future. But I don't think they'll take over the world. I think there are some concerns I have even currently about some of the use of AI. I'll put it that way. And I think a lot of governments or policies have yet to catch up to the pace at which technology is evolving. So there's some scary stuff out there, but there's also some great stuff that's being utilized with AI. So
that sounds like like a future episode right there.
Yeah.
Yep, and I can play devil's advocate because there was a cool documentary I just watched about some of this stuff. So yeah, future episode.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I've heard some of the stories about the Facebook robots developing their own language because English wasn't I don't know, as good as it could be, and they were talking to each other and they had to pull the plug on it and nobody could understand.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I've heard some good stories.
What was that AI bot that Microsoft launched on Twitter? Was it
Oh
Tay?
yeah, it became racist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a few years back, but still within like what was it, a day or so, it became overtly racist and homophobic, and it was scary what it was doing, and they had to pull the plug on it immediately.
Some things can be a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, too funny. But thank you so much for being a part of Shot at Business Central and Beer. We truly appreciate it, Bridget and Aaron. Wish you guys the best of luck, and
So what? I've got to ask, what's your rating?
Yeah.
Good question. The rating, yeah.
So I'll go first. So thank you for recommending it. Like I said, I've actually never in all these years and I've never really had one of these. It was delicious.
Oh, hooray!
It was like a dessert mid-afternoon snack, so to speak. I'm not sure I could get like 6 of these down though.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of like a 1 or 2 treat. So It's so tasty. I'm gonna go 80 on this.
Mm.
Just because it's so, yeah, I mean, sometimes the things we're drinking are like, there's some sort of funky aftertaste or it's too harsh or whatever. This is just, I mean, it's very tasty. It's just I probably couldn't drink a half dozen of them.
Yeah, it's stayed consistent through the whole podcast. That the flavor profile hasn't changed. It goes down really smooth. Like you said, it's really tasty. I don't know about a dessert type of a taste, but I get more fall, Starbucks coffee type of a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna go 85. I could drink a bunch of them too. So
Yeah.
all right, your turn.
Oh, you get to rate it too?
Oh, wow.
Of course, you get to rate it. Yeah.
Oh, dear. I thought because we recommended it that we already, have the highest level of rating. I have to say probably the 80 range like you guys, because I do like these. I just prefer my wine. So maybe when we talk AI, we get really deep and we get some red wine going, because that's my jam.
Wow, no pun intended there with the jam and the fruit and all that.
I always like to joke that I'm just a good Catholic that way, and I like my red wine, but yeah, I don't know if that will go over as well as my grandma used to say it. That was always a kick.
Millions of other people too then.
Yeah. I'll give it 86 because that's kind of one of my go-to places or drinks to go to. So 86. I've already downed it and I'm on my other one. So
What's the rating for the Sam Adams?
Sam Adams, I'm gonna go with in the 80 range too, because it's just a good solid lager. It's not too heavy, it's not too light. I'm not a real light beer type guy. I like a little bit something in the middle. I've tried the really heavy stouts and stuff like that, and it's just like a whole meal in a bottle. Really dark stuff. It's like, like I ate a whole huge meal, so there's no way I could do a stomach. I could only do like one of those, and that would be like my limit on the super dark ones. So I like the lager. It's a good flavor profile, and it's a good medium flavor. Mm-hmm.
All right. Perfect.
Michael and Ken, I'm curious, what's been the highest rated on the show?
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think it was the first beer we ever did.
Well, for me, yeah. So I kind of cheated a little bit, and I picked my favorite beer as our first beer, which is a brewery called Three Floyds Zombie Dust.
Oh wow!
Ooh, I'll check that out. Is it a local brew?
Yeah, it is. It's Munster, Indiana, is where it's located. I'm not sure what their distribution reach is. I know it's big in the Midwest. And I think they've kind of been expanding, but they were like one of those that always kind of they only brewed a certain amount to make it exclusive and hard to get, to kind of create that sense of scarcity. But recently I think they acknowledged that there's about 100 other alternatives out there. So let's just make as much as we can and make as much money as we can.
What did you go, 98 on the rating?
Yeah, like a 98. I think.
Oh wow!
I wonder what it would go if we revisit it.
Maybe you should, now that you've tested a bunch of things, and see if it still feels true.
And I got a chance with my wife.
Yeah.
I got a chance with my wife recently to go on a tour of a distillery, and I don't know if you've heard the term white dog. So white dog's the stuff straight from the distillery before they proof it down. Okay, so this is pure, clear, looks like water. It was 140 proof. Shots we did. That's white dog. That's just a generic term. And then we tried the proof down stuff, which was still around 90, 95 proof. And so that was like, oh, this isn't so bad, but it was really good. A lot of good stuff they had there. It's called Hard Truth, and located over in Indiana. Yeah.
Any flavor to the high proof alcohol or no? Or is it just?
No, it's really good flavor. They had all kinds of great flavors. One my wife picked up. It's actually peanut butter, and you mix it with a berry flavored simple syrup, and you'll get peanut butter and jelly flavor. So kind of an interesting shot going on there.
PB
But
and J Moonshine.
yeah, basically, yeah,
There you
So-
go. And there you got your next one.
yeah. If they had a cool business model, we went on a
That'd be a
tour.
crazy show.
Yeah,
Yeah, that could
especially
get
if
out
we
of
had
hand.
small shots of those going on. So.
Yeah, we've had hard alcohol before. We had, what was it, Weller's?
We had some bourbon. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, they do bourbon, gin, vodka. They have all the different styles and types there.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining us. We truly appreciate it, and
Yeah.
dropping the DAC community's knowledge on us. We would love it. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for having us, you guys.
Hopefully we'll see you in October.
Yes,
See you
definitely there.
all
All
right,
righty.
everybody.
Thanks,
Take care.
See ya. Bye.
As we end today's podcast, we want to give a big thank you to everyone who listens, shares this podcast, and leaves us reviews. You've taken a good amount of your time out of your day, and we truly appreciate it. Thanks again. And don't be afraid to email us at marketing@solsyst.com with your tips for the podcast, or maybe you'd even like to be a guest during an episode.